What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I want to talk about a lovely purple Digimon deck. You see, we don't talk about purple all that much on this channel. It's something we need to make sure we're looking at here and there. So let's look at a rather lovely DanDevimon deck that did a win recently. What a transition. This was tweeted out by @KDPL2, won a tournament over in Japan recently, and if we start off having a little bit of a look at the Digitama, we've got what we generally tend to see, what we expect, which is a 4-1 split. Now, the 4 here just so happens to be Pagamon, chomping down on a piece of meat there. This is the one that came around in the purple starter deck. When it's deleted, or the Digimon that digivolves from it, obviously, you trash the top 2 cards of your deck. And of course, that sounds bad in a lot of decks, and it might be, were it not for the fact that purple is so gosh darn good at actually playing from the trash, and this is just going to make sure your trash fills up a little bit more quickly. The one we tend to see here is DanDevimon from BT3. When it's deleted, draw 1 and trash a card from your hand. So it's not quite as aggressive in terms of being able to trash cards, but you do still get an extra card in the trash, and you get to draw 1 at the same time. So that sounds like the kind of thing you might want to be doing, though it is very much, that is the 1 of, not the 4 of. Now, I've talked about trashing, so it's probably not going to surprise you here that as we get into level 3s, we are playing a full 4 copies of Impmon. Because when Impmon is deleted, you trash the top 3 cards of your deck. If you want to get to a stage where you are filling up your trash, you cannot beat Impmon. It's a little bit good. But we also have a playset of DanDevimon here, which doesn't really narrow it down too much. There are a bunch of them, but I'm talking about the promo. And it is the promo that's just come out, the anniversary promo. On deletion, if your trash has 7 or more Digimon cards with Devimon in their name, you may play a DanDevimon from your trash without paying its memory cost. Now, we'll get to DanDevimon properly in a moment, but basically DanDevimon is a big, exciting level 6 Digimon. It is not something you're supposed to be playing for free, or DanDevimon as it is over here. It is a 12 cost to play, 4 cost to digivolve. What that means is you are very, very much cheating here, and this is why we see so much aggressive discard, because that's what you want here. You want to get a bunch of Devimon cards in your trash, while also getting your DanDevimon in your trash, so that you can go ahead and play it for free. I'm going to be honest with you, it's a little bit ridiculous. This is why Devimon decks are so much better now than they were even a couple of weeks ago, because this promo card makes a huge, huge difference. It's kind of nutso. Now, we do also see a playset of Labramon here. When you play it, you draw a card, and then trash a card from your hand. Now, this is brilliant, because firstly, it gives you draw power, and remember, it's not filling up your hand, it's cycling your hand, but you're still seeing more cards, you're more likely to get what you want, that's a good thing, but you also trash a card from your hand, and actually, while we're here, remember that trashing a card from your hand is great, because it means if you've got a couple of cards, you can make sure you trash the one that's got Devimon in its name, so that you get closer to actually activating that skill. And you'll notice there are a bunch of Devimon here. That is not particularly much of a surprise. Now, there is actually another DanDevimon that we do see here. It's a one from BT2. It's a 2 cost to play normally. It's a vanilla Digimon. There's nothing else about it that's special, but it works with the other DanDevimon. It's only 2 cost to play normally, so that means that it actually works really nicely in this particular deck. It's a good choice. And then we've got 1 copy of Candlemon, which again is just a 2 cost to play normally. Now, call me silly here, and if you do want to call me silly, that's what the comment section is there for. But given that we've got a skill that particularly interacts with Digimon with Devimon in their name, and we're not playing a playset of the DanDevimon, which is exactly the same as this, but with a different name, I think we should be playing another DanDevimon here rather than Candlemon. Candamon just seems like a worse option because it doesn't work with a promo DanDevimon, and it gives you no advantage over this DanDevimon, so I don't really get it, if I'm honest with you. It seems like a fun little affectation of the deck builder, but I would cut this immediately for a third DanDevimon because that is going to give you actual advantages. Moving over into level 4, there is one Digimon that is absolutely no surprise whatsoever. It is the Devimon that is a 1-cost to Digivolve blocker. Now, to be fair, if we weren't playing a deck which was kind of relying on Devimon, we would still be playing this, and we're seeing this in a lot of decks around at the moment. It's a 1-cost to Digivolve blocker. We've started getting them for all the colours, and I'm going to say it one more time, it's a 1-cost to Digivolve blocker. So you know what? Do it. Speaking of which, we also have a full playset of Devimon, and this is one of the few purple cards that's really resonated with me, because what you actually have here is Retaliation as both a regular skill and an inheritable skill. Remember, that is the awesome skill whereby if Devimon or the Digimon that digivolves from it gets deleted in a battle, you also take down the Digimon it was battling. Having it as both a regular and an inheritable skill is a little bit nuts, and obviously we're playing a Devimon deck, so playing 8 of them seems pretty good. The other level 4 here we play is Meramon, and Meramon's not a Devimon, and it's a vanilla card, but it's a 1-cost to Digivolve. And it really is as simple as that. Because it's a 1-cost to Digivolve, we are definitely going to want to play it. It gets you up to those bigger Digimon a little bit more quickly. It also means we've got 7 level 4s in the deck that Digivolve for just 1 memory, and that can make a big difference as you go through the game. Now, over in level 5s, this is where it starts getting a little bit mishmash. There's no play sets of level 5s here. We start going a little bit all over the place and playing a bunch of different options. Now, one we see here is Skull Meramon, played because it's a 2-cost to Digivolve, and it really is as simple as that. There's nothing else particularly special about it, but it's cheap to Digivolve. Actually, to be fair, it's a 5-cost to play normally. It's Monzemon. So yeah, that is actually pretty good. It's cheap to play. That's why we're playing it. It's cheap to play. We then see a couple copies of Lady Devimon. When you Digivolve into it, you draw 2, and then trash 2 cards from your hand. So again, you've got draw power there, and trashing whatever you want from your hand. So that is going to work beautifully with what this deck is trying to do. And it's got an inheritable skill as well, whereby anytime you play an option card, you delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. And yes, we are playing a bunch of option cards in this deck. We'll get there in a moment. So this is a skill, and both of these skills are going to end up being really gosh darn good. We then see a couple copies of Chimeramon, because when you play it, you may delete one of your Digimon to delete one of your opponent's Digimon that is level 5 or lower. But we've already seen a couple of good deletion skills like Impmon that we see in this particular deck. So that makes Chimeramon a pretty nice option indeed. We see a lot of play with it in purple decks. And then we've got just a single copy coming in here of War Growlmon, Black War Growlmon in fact, because it's got Digiburst free. You trash 3 Digivolution cards to activate the effect. And the effect is you play a level 3 purple Digimon from your trash without paying its memory cost. You don't get any play effects, but your level 3s, they don't have play effects, so nobody cares. Unless you play a level 3 for free. That sounds pretty gosh darn good to me. And because it is a Digiburst skill, you can essentially sit on it until you need it, which is always a fairly fun bonus. So those are your level 5s, like I say, a little bit mishmash. Going into level 6s, obviously the big one we see here is DanDevimon. This is the big one, this is really the reason we're playing the deck. I mean, you can get it out more easily using the DanDevimon we looked at a moment ago. That's always a nice option. But obviously, if we're going to be getting it out, it still needs to have something good about it. Well, on your opponent's turn, once per turn, when a card is removed from your security stack, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So essentially what we see here is forcing your opponent to take multiple security at once. If they, during their turn, can only get rid of one security, they lose one as well. That's not worth it. But remember, it might be once per turn, but that's once per turn per DanDevimon. So if you've got, say, 3 of these out, your opponent gets rid of 1 of yours, security, and you get rid of 3 of theirs, which is a bit nuts. And of course, really worth bearing in mind that because of DanDevimon, you are going to be able to swarm this a lot more easily than you would otherwise be able to do. It is a bit good. Oh yeah, and on deletion, your opponent has to trash 2 cards from their hand. But again, you are going to be playing these more easily and more frequently than you would other level 6s, so this is actually potentially going to work out to proper hand disruption, and that's a little bit good as well. Now, the other level 6 we see here is Digimon, because while you have 10 or more cards in your trash, your Impmon can digivolve into this card for 4 memory. And this is perfect, because you see, we're already playing your Devimon and your DanDevimon to try and cheat 1 level 6 out. Now, because we're already going aggressively trashing cards and we're playing Impmon for that reason, we can cheat Digimon into play as well. And when you digivolve, you delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. And this just works out absolutely beautifully. This is, yeah, these make a really nice pair. It's only 2 Digimon. It is a DanDevimon deck generally, but this is still a very, very cool way to go about building a deck. And if you're cheating out both your level 6s, that seems good. Now, there is one level 7 we are playing around with here. It is Omnimon's Wart. When you digivolve, you trash the top 3 cards of your deck. Then you may play 2 black or purple Digimon cards with a play cost of 8 or less from your trash without paying their memory cost. Oh yeah, Chimeramon, remember that one earlier? That's got a play cost of 8 or less, and this does not say you don't activate play skills. And the rule is, if it says you don't, you don't. If it doesn't, then you do. Yeah, that's a nice way to cheat that out, isn't it? It's more cheating Digimon out. You are cheating out more Digimon and playing more Digimon essentially for free. This is just good, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely good. Oh yeah, and I suppose we also should mention, because it'd be kind of rude if we didn't, that when you attack, you may return a level 6 Digimon card from under it to your hand and delete an opponent's unsuspended Digimon with a play cost of 12 or less. Remembering you can only attack suspended Digimon, so being able to delete an unsuspended Digimon here is actually phenomenal, because it means you're going to be able to take out your opponent's Digimon that they thought was safe, and that is always very funny, but again, for you, not for your opponent. So this seems pretty good. And this is a very, very fun little combo you got going on here. These are good Digimon we're playing with. Now, we do have some optional Tamers as well. We have a couple copies of the purple Matt Ashida. Be a little bit rude if we didn't have any Tamers in the deck, although it is only just a pair of them. At the start of your turn, if your memory is 2 or less, it goes to 3. Always nice. And when you play, you may return a purple option or Digimon card from your trash to your hand. So it means you're always starting with 3 memory, which is good, but it also acts as a bit of recovery for either option cards or Digimon cards, and that all just adds up to a pretty nice combo, honestly. Seems pretty good to me. In terms of option cards, we do have a couple of options here. We're playing just 1 copy of Deathclaw. Lets you delete one of your Digimon to delete an opponent's Digimon of level 4 or lower, which is pretty good, to be honest with you. Like we said earlier, deleting your Digimon can often be a bonus. Deleting your opponent's Digimon will always be a bonus. That sounds pretty nice. We got a couple copies of Back for Revenge. One of your Digimon gains on deletion. Play this card without paying its memory cost, but you don't get any play effects. So you could, for instance, have a DanDevimon be deleted. Your opponent has to trash a couple cards from their hand, but then you just bring this right back. That certainly sounds like something we should be playing around with. Just being able to get your level 6s back and having those big Digimon ready to go, that is something which is very, very cool indeed. We have a couple copies coming in here of another 2-cost card. It's Grizzly Wing. You play a level 3 purple Digimon from your trash without paying its cost. So essentially any level 3 Digimon of yours becomes a 2-cost, and like we said, we've got enough trashing options in this deck that this is going to be something you can play around with fairly reliably. There's going to be a lot of different options in your trash, so this is going to allow you to play your cards for free. That's a cool thing. And then we just see one copy coming in here of Earthshaker. Delete one of your opponent's unsuspended level 4 Digimon and one of your opponent's unsuspended level 5 Digimon. Again, you're deleting unsuspended Digimon, which is a huge advantage because you wouldn't be able to attack them. So being able to delete them outright is great. But also, it's 2 of them, which is awesome. It's not always going to work. It's going to be an awkward card. You have to really wait for the best time to use this. But when it works, it is awesome. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. A rather nice purple deck that plays 2 level 6s, both of which are cheated into play, and has a whole bunch of lovely tricks as well. It's not my kind of deck. I don't really like purple decks. I play them, but I'm not a huge fan of them. But maybe it's your kind of deck. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.